Puck, in medieval English folklore, a malicious fairy or demon. In Old English and Middle English, the word simply meant demon. In Elizabethan lore, he was mischievous, brownie-like fairy who also called himself Robin Goodfellow or Hobgoblin. So now that you have like the angelic encounter, and I know that we were talking a little bit before the show about where these like Pukwudgies might actually fit as far as like biblical folklore goes. But just looking off of the Old English word for puck, I found it kind of interesting that it kind of just. I don't think Pukwudgie is necessarily like a native word. I think it's something that was brought with the English over. And with that, I'm also kind of wondering if maybe the English brought Pukwudgies to begin with, and maybe they kind of got mixed in with like the whole little people folklore, but they were a totally different thing to begin with. And I don't know, just looking at who Puck was, it seems to fit the whole idea of what a Pukwudgie is to begin with. And I've been looking up what Wudgie might mean, trying to look it up in different languages and stuff, and I haven't really come on to anything quite yet, but I have a feeling that Wudgie might be something else, and it's like a combination of words between Puck and then Wudgie being a totally different, separate word that's explaining another aspect of its personality.
Right. Yeah. And that could totally make sense because I think a lot of these things are connected or are similar or at least in the same family tree. So I think we're definitely on to something there, especially when you consider they're literally this like Puck and Pukwudgie, like it's in the name. So it's like that tells me that they have to be either the same thing or pseudo the same thing or something similar. You know, like I said, the same family tree or something related or something similar to a puck or whatever a puck is, and then then we have these Pukwudgies. Now, what I think is interesting about the Pukwudgie word, as far as I know, doesn't come. It's not even from New England. A I can't remember his name. I think it was a Chief Red Snail. I could be wrong. I was just reading this like right before we recorded. He got the word from the Delaware tribe, and that's where they had the word Pukwudgie before it came up here. So they kind of like borrowed Pukwudgies in general, as far as the folklore of Pukwudgies, from like the Delaware, Maryland area, which I think is interesting because the New England little people are called something different. The Mikowisug or something. Like I said, not like Pukwudgies at all. Like the Pukwudgies are more like the Pucks or like a Pukwudgie like the tricksters or whatever. These um, other little people are more like the Cherokee little people or your typical like smaller people that are not like tricksters, but they live out deep in the woods. They would leave them food and stuff, and then they would grant them wishes, like that kind of thing. So like I think you're right. I think there is, I think a mixture of these two lores going on, or at least the name Pukwudgie, at least in New England, was used to replace the name of these other names. And I don't know if they just over time got confused and became one thing, or I don't know, or just one got lost to translate. I don't know, just like kind of fell by the wayside, and Pukwudgies kind of just became famous because a guy had a Pukwudgie encounter up here. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works, or where the disconnect happened, but
See, I'm kind of wondering if they exist in like a Fey world, so to speak. If it connects intercontinental, like so maybe like somebody in England, for example, called them a puck, and it's spelled Puck, so it's a little bit different.
yeah.
But then because they had that name from some people calling them that in England, if they're existing again within this world where borders don't necessarily mean anything, and then they're also in America and they're able to communicate with each other, which is something that we've talked about. I think last time was the
Mm-hmm.
fact of them being able to communicate through long distances. I wonder if that became part of the native language talking about these things because they told them that that's what they were called because they were already getting called that somewhere else.
Yeah. No, and I could totally see that because I think they can. I think they. I don't know if they can communicate between regions. They either one of two things. They can communicate between regions, or they travel between regions. And so, but I think you're right. I think they were probably called that, and then when they revealed themselves to the Native Americans over here, however that looked, because I'm sure that's probably what happened. You know, then they're like, "Oh, this is what we're called. We're called pucks. Pukwudgies." And then, you know, however that happened or whatever over time. But yeah, dude, that totally could happen, especially with the my experience in Elkmont, where in Tennessee, Pukwudgies aren't supposed to be down there, You know what I mean? As far as like traditional lore and legend goes, there's no accounts of Pukwudgies being in Tennessee. Like the closest Pukwudgie encounter, like I said, Delaware area. You know what I mean? So we're talking a few states away. Indiana's known for Pukwudgies, Ohio area, but Tennessee's not one of those places. So for me to go down to Tennessee and get like the Pukwudgie spirit box response and all the other like evidence I've got of Pukwudgies there 2 times now that I've been there is really weird. You know what I mean? So like that verifies to me that I think they're at least traveling between regions or like you said, communicate between regions, and then that begs the question: if they're in Tennessee, then are they everywhere? And then people just don't know that they're everywhere. You know, like now I want to know, like if I went to, we'll just say if I go to Michigan, right? Sometime, hopefully soon, when we get to investigate together.
That'd be awesome.
We go out in the middle of like I don't know somewhere where there's no Pukwudgies, not supposed to be any Pukwudgies, and we get like Pukwudgie stuff. Then it's like okay, are they traveling around and following us, or knew that we were going to be there and showed up there?